Basically, Pastor Thomas Burke came on here and said that churches aren't obligated to help people that are in need. And the reason he's saying this because of the girl that's exposing churches for not helping people in their community. So this woman is calling churches, asking them for baby formula, telling these churches that her baby hasn't eaten in a day and a half. Now, it was a social experiment. But in this social experiment, she exposed that over 30 churches denied her when she called. It went viral. Then Pastor Thomas Burke used his platform to tell people what churches will do and what churches won't do. Simple fact is this: nobody is obligated to do anything that they do not want to do. But a church, you would think that a church will want to help somebody when there's a problem, due to the fact that people donate so much money to churches. And Pastor Thomas Burke gave all types of reasons. He said churches get scammed. He said some people just want to tax the churches. He said we spend $1 trillion a year on our military. Then he goes to say that the United States spends less than 1% on helping people that are in need. And although that may be true, what does that have to do with that lady calling a church and asking the church for baby formula to feed a baby? Truth of the matter is, people can't call the governor or the president. People can call the closest thing to them, and that probably would be a church. Now, not everybody is calling with the truth, but if somebody is calling with the truth, you're telling me that you won't help them? I've seen somebody mention the fact that a pastor wouldn't even open up the doors to his mega church to let somebody in when it was a hurricane. You got certain pastors driving around in Bentleys, driving around in Benzes, living in mansions. You got certain pastors condemning people for not giving enough money for their tithes or putting enough money in collection plates. What is this? Jump in the comments. Tell me what you think. I'm out.
Churches, they are not obligated. We hope that they're going to be able.
Oh yeah, guys, once again the internet is on fire, this time because of a pastor who decided to say the quiet part out loud. In a sermon that's now gone viral, a white pastor, Thomas Burke, stood before his congregation and boldly declared that the church is not obligated to help people in need. Those words hit like a thunderclap across social media, shaking the Christian community and leaving many wondering what happened to the message of love, service, and compassion that the Bible teaches. Today, guys, I am here. We are breaking down exactly what he said, the shocking reactions it caused, and how this moment exposes something deeper going on in modern churches. Let's get into this. I'll be coming back with more commentaries. Stay tuned.
You are not only bound by biblical teachings to assist, you are also bound by the teachings that are the pillar of the faith itself. In third grade, I learned about the corporal works of mercy. What do you remember the first two being, if you do know either of them at all? The first being to feed the hungry, the second to give drink to the thirsty. Which one do you think baby formula fell under in that instance? You just had to pick one. And before you say that this is different because you're a church, God has devoted an entire circle of hell to greed, avarice, and wealth hoarding, and church officials are not exempt. That fourth circle of hell is guarded by the demon Plutus, the demon of wealth, underworld god of riches. The greedy are doomed to an eternity of rolling massive stones across a perpetual platform, and the massive stones symbolize the hoarding of the wealth that the church officials and others did throughout their lives instead of helping others. I checked in first grade. Corrupt church officials don't get into heaven. So which one do you prefer, Pastor? Baby formula or Boulder?
Yes, Pastor Thomas Burke, who currently has his page privated and deactivated because he doesn't want to lose the page and the money it provides him, said the quiet part out loud. The American church is not obligated to do service in the community like mosques are obligated to go into the community to service the greater purpose of what God has told them to do. Even though churches in America get a tax exemption due to the fact that they are implied to do service to the community, i.e. if you lost your job, help you get another one. If you don't have money, you know what I'm saying, to help you loan that money. If your child needs a jacket, food, or whatever, they would be able to sponsor that and help you in your time of need. But unfortunately, due to the fact that we've allowed a lot of people who have failed everywhere else in their lives. Everything else that they tried to attempt anywhere else, they never got excellence. So they, you know what they did? They came into religion and they have been pimping the congregation and the followers of Christ and leading them into damnation. Damnation, okay? So for you to tell me that the American church is operating correctly by not understanding that poverty, which makes certain people very uncomfortable, is actively running buck wild in their communities, and a mother calls and says, hey, I just need 1 can of formula, meaning $5.95 at Walmart, if you wanted to be particularly correct on which one we're choosing at, right? $5.95, that means less than $7 and change. You could have easily gotten this mother the assistance. That's too much. We're not obligated to help you or to serve you, even though we save a lot of money by not paying taxes because we're supposed to serve the community. Makes zero sense to me. Just like the pastor that locked the doors because the congregation wasn't given enough money, just like the pastor that did not want to ordain the funeral of a grandmother until the grandson was willing to burn that church down. Not for the pastor that asked for a Gulfstream private jet that was worth $23 million. Why are you obligated to give them tithing? Why do you still give them tithing even though they won't help you when you're in your time of need?
Pastor, and I talk a lot about Muslim zakat. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam, where Muslim communities and Muslims are obligated to provide charity to the community. Churches, they are not obligated.
So at the grocery store, I checked how much the cheapest can of formula was, and the cheapest one they had was like $22. So you're telling me that these churches that are getting donations and getting tax exemptions cannot afford to go get a $22 can of formula for a starving baby? Come on now.
So guys, we still have another clip to watch, but what I can say is that this white pastor has sparked massive outrage after boldly declaring that the church is not obligated to help people in need. His shocking statement has left many believers questioning his morals, his understanding of the gospel, and the true purpose of the church itself. What is even more surprising is how fast he lost the support and congratulations he once had from his congregation and followers. So guys, that is why I decided to make this video, so that we can break down what he said and why it's causing such intense backlash, and how this moment exposes a deeper issue in modern Christianity, where money, fame, and self-interest seem to overshadow compassion and service. Guys, watch till the end to hear the public's fiery reactions and the lessons this pastor might never have expected to learn. So guys, do you think the church still stands for what Jesus taught, helping the poor and the needy, or has it become a business? Let's get into this. I'll be back. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more daily breakdowns of viral and controversial moments shaking the internet.
We don't give a damn what you're talking about. We don't care. Yes, if you have your hands out taking up offerings every Sunday, that is literally the purpose. That is literally a part of your purpose. What the fuck? As Nikali has been doing her experiment, calling around to different churches and mosques, she's been met with some nasty responses, some just absolute avoidance of giving any help, and then she has been met with, she was met with a pastor that she called, whose church may not have had the funds, but he was willing to personally go to the store and buy formula for her baby out of his own pocket. And that is what people should be modeling if they call themselves following this particular belief system. Shout out to the community-based churches that actually care about the people outside of the parameters of the building. There are so many institutions that only care about the people within the walls of the church. And anyone who does not fit into this perfect box, anyone who does not look like them, believe like them, have the same sexual orientation as them, have a certain look to them, a lot of them are not accepted. There are a lot of people within the walls of the church being judged left and right who cannot depend on their community within the walls, much less people outside coming in. So shout out to the institutions that are actually community-based. You know, the stories of people trying to reach out for assistance from the church but not getting said assistance, the stories are endless. But the story that comes to mind for me, because it's actually a church that I attended back in the day when I was going to church, was there was a lady, and she was a faithful member of this particular church. During the pandemic, of course, she was not in church, as many people were not in church as much. I don't recall if she was if she had gotten sick or not, but long story short, she hadn't been in church, and then because of the pandemic, she did not have the ability to tithe in the way that she had previously tithed when she was actively going to church. With that being said, there came a time during this pandemic period where she needed help. She needed assistance, and she also wanted to ask for prayer. So she reached out to this particular church and spoke with the pastor about her request for some financial assistance and prayer. And she was met with, what have your tithes been like in the last couple of months? How long have you not been here? That is what a parishioner was met with, who gave. And can you imagine that if that's a member, what people on the outside are treated like? Y'all are never beating the "there's no hate like Christian love" allegations. I swear. What happened to those "what would Jesus do" bracelets? Mr. We're not obligated? Y'all lost y'all damn mind. I swear, y'all need a PR makeover. Y'all need a PR makeover because you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. It is the most selfish place to be. The same type of pastor that would be like, oh, well, we're not obligated to do it. These are the same people that will use other people's misfortune as a preaching or testimonial point. These are the same people that'll say, oh, we're not obligated to give, but then will tell their parishioners, you need to be grateful that you woke up this morning because someone didn't. You need to be grateful that you have food on the table because the next person doesn't. You was able to put gas in your tank, but Sally Mae down the street, she couldn't afford to. Amen? Amen. What? Y'all need PR real bad. And you know, and this is what gets them pissed off. You know it's up and it's stuck when I could pick up the phone right now and call a mosque and get immediate assistance. I could call, you ready for this? I could pick up the phone and call a satanic temple right now and say, I'm short on food or I need baby formula. I bet you it'd be done like that.
So, guys, today's story is sparking across, it is sparking outrage across the Christian world. This white pastor has said out loud what many people believe some churches leaders secretly think, that the church is not obligated to help people who are in need. Yes, you heard that right. A man who calls himself a servant of God stood before his congregation and boldly declared that helping the poor, the sick, and the struggling is not the church's duty. But the reaction that followed, it was nothing short of explosive. His own congregation turned against him, and the internet has not stopped talking about it since. Yes, so the pastor's exact words shocked many. He said that the church's purpose is to preach the word, not to act like a charity. God helps those who help themselves. That one sentence flipped everything, because for centuries the message of Christianity has been clear: to love your neighbor, to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, and to help the weak. So when a pastor, someone expected to lead with compassion, says the church has no obligation to help those in need, it raises a painful question. Has the modern church lost its heart? And maybe even more, has it forgotten what Jesus himself taught? So there was a lot of reaction from the congregation, and reports say that members of his congregation were visibly uncomfortable. Some people walked out, others confronted him after the service, and just days later, many began to distance themselves from his ministry completely. Social media erupted with comments like, how can you preach about love but refuse to show it? Another person even wrote that Jesus fed 5,000 people. He didn't ask if they had a job first. Even other pastors have criticized him, calling his message a betrayal of the gospel. It seems his boldness didn't bring him praise or congratulations. It brought him humiliation and rejection. And let's be honest, guys, this is not just about one pastor. This incident reflects a growing problem in many modern churches. Too many ministries have become businesses focused on image, tithes, and influence instead of compassion, instead of humility and service. People are struggling with rent, hunger, and mental health, yet some churches are more concerned with building bigger sanctuaries and buying luxury cars. And when leaders start saying the church doesn't need to help the needy, it reveals how far we have drifted from the teachings that built the faith in the first place. Let's remember that the Bible says faith without work is dead. If your faith doesn't move you to help others, then what kind of faith is it really. And the public's reaction has been intense. Some say the pastor just said what many church leaders secretly believe. Others believe it is a wake-up call, a moment for Christians to reflect on whether their churches truly live by what they preach. People online are now sharing stories of how their local churches helped them through dark times, proof that compassion is still alive somewhere. But they also share pain, how many times they were turned away when they needed help most. It's clear people are not just hungry for food, they are hungry for real faith. People are hungry for real love and real humanity. So this pastor might have lost his congregation, but maybe, just maybe, he exposed something the world needed to see. Too many churches have forgotten the purpose of their existence, because at the end of the day, religion without compassion is just performance, and a church that refuses to help the needy has already lost its soul. So now the question remains, has the church become more about money and ego than mercy and empathy? Let's talk about it, guys, in the comment section. And if you found this story thought-provoking, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and share your thoughts, guys. Do you think the modern church has lost its way? Kindly give me your thoughts in the comment section. Kindly like the video, give the video a thumbs up, share the video for it to get a wider audience, and also subscribe and turn on that notification bell so that you don't miss on the next one. Bye bye and peace be with you until next time. And of course, all credit belongs to the original creators of the video. Thank you so much for watching. This video is meant for educational and commentary purposes as well. Thank you. Be blessed. Have a nice time.